According to Article 3 of the Constitution, federal courts have the authority to decide actual cases and controversies. That qualifying language means that federal courts can only decide disputes. They can't issue advisory opinions deciding abstract legal questions. In United States v. Johnson, we explore what happens if parties try to use a sham dispute to elicit what's essentially an advisory opinion. To combat rapid inflation during World War II, Congress enacted the Emergency Price Control Act of 1942. Pursuant to the Act, the Federal Price Administrator promulgated maximum rent regulations for certain areas. Johnson, a landlord in an affected area, questioned the constitutionality of the act and the rent regulation imposed under it. To obtain a ruling on constitutionality, Johnson and his attorney prompted one of Johnson's residential tenants to file a complaint against Johnson in federal court, alleging that Johnson was charging rent above the price cap. The complaint was filed under the fictitious name, One Roach, and was written by an attorney paid for by Johnson. The tenant never met the attorney or read the complaint, and Johnson assured the tenant that he wouldn't need to appear in court. Once the claim was filed, Johnson moved to dismiss, arguing that the act and regulation were unconstitutional. The federal government then intervened to argue in favor of constitutionality. The district court held that the act was unconstitutional, but before it entered its dismissal order, the government moved to reopen the case for dismissal on alternate grounds. It argued that the case should be dismissed without a judgment on the merits because the parties were colluding, and there was no actual controversy between them. The district court denied the government's motion. The government appealed directly to the United States Supreme Court.